Aloha and welcome to Aquarian Radio at aquarianradio.com. This is Janet Kira Lesson, and I am the host with the co-host of Dr. Sasha Lesson of Aquarian Radio. And it's an episode of Egg Speaks. This series is called The Anunnaki and Us, 30 chapters of our history beginning 4.5 billion years ago through 311 BCE. And let's see, this chapter is chapter 26, called Enlil Sponsored the Israelites. And now welcome our co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson.
Last episode, we heard that after 2025 BCE, only Abraham's army of all Commander Enlil's forces had survived the nuclear holocaust and its fallout. Abraham's band lived because Enlil, Yahweh, sent it to the Negev and to Canaan to guard Sumer from Marduk's forces in Egypt and in Lebanon. Now Enlil, commander of the Nibiruan gold mining expedition from the planet Nibiru to Earth, wanted his surviving Earthlings, the ones that were loyal to him, branded. So he ordered Abraham, who was then 99 years old, and all Abraham's male followers to cut off their foreskins so that their penises would be without a foreskin like those of the Nibiruans. So Abraham and his men, now you could see by amputation, were obedient Enlilites. Enlil told Abraham after the circumcision, "Unto thy seed have I given this land from the brook of Egypt, the Nile, until the river Euphrates."
And Enlil said Abraham, with his wife and half-sister Sarah, would beget a son to replace Ishmael. Ishmael was Abraham's son with his secondary wife, Hagar. Hagar used to be Sarah's slave, but now she was the mother of Abraham's son, a future king. Abraham had raised Ishmael as his heir, due, all thought, to rule Canaan. When Sarah bore Isaac, she reminded Abraham that Hagar was her slave. Sarah told Abraham, "Rid us of that slave woman. Her son never shall the inheritance of my son Isaac share." Commander Enlil agreed. He told Abraham, "Heed, Sarah. Your descendants shall spring from Isaac. Ishmael, son of the maidservant, too shall be a nation begat, for Ishmael too springs from you." Enlil told Abraham, "Evict Hagar you must." Enlil thus tested Abraham's loyalty and drove a wedge between Abraham and Hagar. Abraham gave Hagar bread and water skin and left her and Ishmael in the Beersheba wilderness. When the water and the skin was gone, she put Ishmael under one of the bushes. She thought, "I cannot watch the boy die." No sooner had Hagar been left to die in the desert than Enlil showed her a well, saved her, and Ishmael won her undivided loyalty. Ishmael became the genitor of the Arabs who to this day compete with the descendants of Isaac for Canaan. When Isaac grew, the apple of old Abraham's eye to adulthood, Enlil tested whether Abraham still obeyed. Enlil told Abraham to take Isaac to a distant mountain far from the eyes of others and murder him in cold blood. Better there were no witnesses around to add to the growing discontent among humans to the gods. Abraham and Isaac came to the place God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood and bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar top of the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But an emissary of Enlil appeared and said, "Do not stretch out your hand against the lad, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son from me. Because you have not withheld your son, indeed I will greatly bless you, and I will greatly multiply your seed, and your seed shall possess the gate of their enemies, because you have obeyed my voice." Abraham passed the test. He was now ready to perform any task for the conniving God. Enlil made sure everyone knew about his favorite boy, Abraham. Many tribal heads, kings, and priests came to seek his favor and suck up to Abraham to avoid acts of vengeance from the god. Abraham, worried Isaac would marry a local Canaanite and dilute their Enlilite bloodline from Sumer, sent him back to Haran on the Euphrates to marry a daughter of their relatives there. Isaac brought Rebekah back from Haran to Canaan.
Rebekah bore Isaac's twin boys. They were named Esau and Jacob. Famine from drought struck Canaan as these twins, Esau and Jacob, matured. Isaac would have sent them to Egypt. That's what he was planning, because the Nile's waters made sure that the people there didn't have famine, for brides. But Enlil, Yahweh, warned them, don't cross Sinai. It's still radioactive. Enlil ordered Isaac's family to an area of Canaan where the wells tapped the water. That was the water they could get. And there, Esau married a local, and Isaac sent Jacob to Haran, back in Sumer, to marry daughters of Laban, who is Isaac's maternal uncle. On his journey north to Haran, in the nighttime vision, Jacob saw a UFO, except it was not a UFO. It was a identified flying object, not an unidentified one, because he realized the occupants were Nibirans, and their commander was Enlil. These so-called angels were flesh and blood humans, big ones. In Haran, when he got there, Jacob asked Uncle Laban for Laban's daughter Rachel. Laban said, well, listen, you got to marry Leah, Rachel's older sister, first, and you got to earn the dowries for both of them. And Jacob worked 20 years for his uncle Laban. Then Jacob got a message from Enlil's messenger, said, get back to Canaan. The messenger, in a dream, warned Laban he'd better let Jacob and his wives go. Now this is important. On the way back south from Haran to Canaan, Jacob paused at Yabok crossing on the Jordan River. Uncertain what his brother Esau's attitude toward him as a rival to rule Abraham's tribe would be, Jacob sent his party ahead, and alone at the crossing, Jacob encountered and wrestled, and though he dislocated his thigh in the battle, actually pinned and held one of these Nibiran angels all night. And he would only let him go in exchange for a blessing. So the blessing was that the angel renamed Jacob Israel, which means he who fought with a god. And so Israel, Jacob, limped into Esau's camp and became the patriarch of Enlilist loyalists. And his kids, Jacob's kids, because now he's Israel, are the children of Israel, the Israelites.
Chapter 27, Joseph saved Egypt, brought Israelites there.
In 1870 BCE, Jacob Israel, he's now the chief of Enlil's cavalry in Canaan, begat Joseph. Joseph's half-brothers hated him. Jacob's elder son also hated Joseph because the way he was obsessed with dreams. All he was doing was interpreting dreams all the time, and they sold him as a slave to caravanners, and the caravanners took Joseph to Egypt. In Egypt, an official of the Pharaoh worked Joseph as a household slave. The official's wife tried to seduce Joseph, and when he refused her sex, she said that he propositioned her. Well, the official jailed him. In jail, Joseph still won renown because he kept reading dreams. And when Amenhotep III ascended Egypt's throne in Egypt, he sent for Joseph to have Joseph interpret a dream that 7 skinny cows ate 7 fat cows, and 7 scorched ears of grain ate 7 healthy ones. Your dreams, Joseph said, show Egypt will have 7 years of good harvest, then 7 years of famine. In 1840 BCE, Amenhotep made Joseph the overseer of Egypt, responsible to store water and grain for the 7 good years and the 7 lean ones. Joseph channeled Nile water at high flood level through a natural depression to an artificial lake near Hawara. He built canals and underground pipes for miles in the Fayum area and made Fayum the breadbasket of Egypt. When drought and famine did strike the Near East, refugees poured into Egypt, where vegetables, fruit, and fish still, thanks to Joseph, abounded.
In 1833, we're talking about BCE, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Israel, who is now 130 years old, and his sons, even those who had sold Joseph as a slave, joined the refugees to Egypt from Canaan. Joseph forgave his half-brothers and invited their descendants and their dependents, the children of Israel, to Egypt. There, for 300 years, they prospered and multiplied till there were 600,000 of them. Then a new regime, hostile to the Enlilites of Mitanni, Haran, with whom the children of Israel were allied, took power. And that was chapter 27 and 28. Coming up next is Moses and the Israelites in Canaan. We have 3 books for sale right now: Anunnaki Gods No More, Anunnaki Legacy of the Gods, and Dance of the Souls. Book 1 is Pierce the Veil. All these books are available on Amazon.com, as well as our websites. Websites. Can't talk today. EnkiSpeaks.com, EnkiSpeaks.com, Nimma.com, N as in Nancy, I, N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, A-H, Ninma.com, who is the mother goddess of us all, mother of us all. And we have AquarianRadio.com and extraterrestrialcontact.com. So thank you very much for joining us today. This has been your host, Janet Kerr Lesson, and co-host
Dr. Sasha Lesson, thank you.
Thank you. Aloha, love, and blessings.